And music at the proms now on BBC One, introduced by Richard Baker.
Good evening and welcome once again to the Royal Albert Hall, where we continue our celebration of the 100th season of the proms. Henry Wood was a young man of just 26 when he started the proms, and from the very first he was determined to include new music in his programs. Any number of major works have been given their British premieres at the proms, and tonight we're going to hear two of them, Sibelius' First Symphony and Ravel's Concerto for the Left Hand, plus part of a score Faure wrote for Pelleas et Melisande. What's more, over the years, the proms have been invigorated not only by new compositions, but by young artists with their own distinctive styles. And tonight's concert is no exception.
I come from France originally, but New York is my home now. I'm kind of the Frenchman in New York after the American in Paris. What I really like in New York is the tremendous energy and the excitement that's in the air, which is reflected in this music. It's music of the city. It's aggressive, energetic, punchy, but I don't always want to be in the city. I think all music is influenced by its environment. It follows the colors, the rhythms, the moods. Take tonight's concert.
When this piece was given its British premiere during the 1932 proms, the soloist was Paul Wittgenstein. Ravel had written the work for him, and he'd given the first performance in Vienna a few months earlier. Tonight's soloist, Jean-Yves Thibaudet, is making his third appearance at the proms in as many years. He's particularly renowned for his interpretations of French music, and he feels that he has a personal link with Ravel.
In the case of Ravel, I wouldn't say it easy, but it's just that I've done so much Ravel that I really feel I know him really quite well. And I was very lucky because, well, I'm obviously French, and all my studies were in Paris, and Lyon first, and then Paris at the Conservatory. And one of my teachers, Lucette Descaves, was actually a friend of Ravel. She played with him, for him. So I had all this insight things from him, which were absolutely fabulous. And I've read a lot of things, books and letters from Ravel. So I really kind of know a lot about him now, which is very important. This year I'm going to play Ravel Left Hand Concerto, which is an absolutely fabulous piece. I'm really looking forward, especially because I haven't played it yet. It's a strange story because I played most of Ravel music. I mean, I record actually all the solo music, and the Ravel G major I played a lot. But the left hand, I always get around. It's like, I don't know, I just didn't want to learn it for a while, and then finally I decided this time I'm going to learn it. It's a very powerful piece. It's an incredible piece. It's completely different than the G major. Everything that the G major has is just, it's a very easy, overwhelming piece. I mean, it's really fresh and nice and happy, and the other one, the left hand, is just very dark, and it's a very bizarre concerto. I mean, there's nothing of Ravel as people would think of Ravel in Jadot or anything. It's one of maybe his best pieces. I mean, it's a very powerful piece. It starts really in the dark. It's weird sounds from the contrabassoon, and this, from that emerged this incredible crescendo, and the piano just comes in and like just all over the keyboard, and all that with one hand only. So it's quite a challenge. But and then it goes in different sections, a little scherzo and wonderful ending. I mean, it's really a great piece. I'm really looking forward a lot to that.
If there's an ominous, slightly disquieting feeling about Ravel's Piano Concerto for the Left Hand, it's not to be wondered at. The Austrian pianist Paul Wittgenstein, who commissioned it, had lost his right arm during the First World War. Relations between him and Ravel were not easy. Wittgenstein wanted to make changes, arguing that performers must not be slaves. But Ravel had a blunt answer. Performers are slaves, he said. And here is Jean-Yves Thibaudet with Yan Pascal Tortelier, principal conductor of tonight's orchestra, the BBC Philharmonic, to play Ravel's Concerto for the left hand. It's in one continuous movement. Jean-Yves Thibaudet, acknowledging a pretty big burst of applause from the promenaders after his performance of Ravel's Concerto for the left hand, with Yan Pascal Tortelier conducting the BBC Philharmonic. This is a special year not only for the proms, but also for tonight's orchestra, the BBC Philharmonic. They're celebrating their 60th anniversary this year.
Although we're based in Manchester, and Manchester's always been our home, we do see ourselves as the Orchestra of the North, which covers an area from the Scottish border and down to the Worcester, Midlands, Leicester area. So we cover that whole area, and we can cover that area in a day. Because of that, we serve all the northern towns. It's a very rich area. There are many concert halls, there are many town halls, there are a lot of activity available to us there. We also have, we're slightly different than the other orchestras in our area. The Liverpool Philharmonic's down the road and the Halia are in the same city. But because of our nature, and we're our broadcasting orchestra and all our repertoire is broadcast, we do see that we have to have a distinctive role in repertoire terms. So one of our major objectives is to be the great supporter of young composers, 20th century repertoire, and English composers at that. So we do support and commission a tremendous amount of material from the young British composers. But for us to be at the proms, it really is one of the most important aspects of our work. It's a major showcase for us. Also, I think over the years, the BBC orchestras have improved tremendously, and they now represent a major force in the proms. Without BBC orchestras, I think the proms would have a difficult time. It is one of the most important aspects of our musical life.
The BBC Philharmonic playing the Sicilienne from Faure's music for Pelleas et Melisande. Yan Pascal Tortelier, the orchestra's principal conductor, is familiar to British audiences in his own right by now. But of course he's also known as the son of the much-loved French cellist Paul Tortelier, who in the 1960s virtually created the television masterclass for the BBC. The younger Tortelier spends a good proportion of his time in this country. He's well used to prom audiences too.
I feel I already have a bit of, you know, a bit of a relationship and history with the proms, and because it goes as far back as 1962, when I first played Brahms double concerto with my father there.
Bon, ça maintenant ça va très bien. Alors passons aux arpèges. Tu sais, la mi do, la mi do, la mi do. Pas, 4.
And then there has been a long gap until I came back in '88, I believe, when I was replacing Todd Hanley with the Ulster Orchestra. I was just appointed then, and we did Sibelius 5 then. And since then I have appeared every year because I came back with the Ulster Orchestra, and soon after that came my appointment with the BBC Philharmonic. I would say it is an orchestra which will always provide wonderful quality sound in any circumstance, and that is a great feature of this orchestra and probably British orchestras together. Now sometimes you, as we said, you want to get into the character of the music, and the music doesn't have to sound just all the time simply musical in a nice sense. There is more to it sometimes. There must be sometimes power, there can be wit, there can be sadness, there can be all sort of things, explosions, and dreams, and this is again this variety of character and moods which I am seeking with this orchestra. Right. We shouldn't rush either, huh? It felt like it was rushing now. We should leave it there, this one. You have got to work on it, because there are moments in music where the style and the characteristic of certain players and, say, certain orchestra, like the BBC Philharmonic, just work naturally. There is not much to add to it, or to say, or to change. But of course, I believe deeply in variety, in life altogether, but in music even more so. 4th and 5th of 10, you play just the first chord, don't play the melody. All I need is just a lovely chord, arpeggio. Don't play the tune, because that is being played in the violins, and it's just too much. Too much sugar, too much sweetener, too much sweetener. I am certainly working very hard in convincing the players that they should adapt their playing to I would say, the character of the music. It's more, for me, it's more a matter of character and, you know, of the music rather than just style for its own sake. Sibelius is a one-off. There is something very special, as Finnish people and Finland is. It's a very, very unique country. It's a remote country. And there is something remote in the music itself and very individual. When you listen, you just close your eyes and you have the most extraordinary picture, because probably then it is your own imagination that takes over rather than seeing real images. That's one extraordinary thing about music, is that more than anything else, it evokes and suggest things. Let's be just technical about it. If you saw a suspense, a Hitchcock or any horror film, actually without the music, you wouldn't really be much afraid. I can assure you of that. People don't realize the impact of music to evoke and suggest. So when it comes to Sibelius, which evokes so much these extraordinary landscapes of the North, it goes even beyond the image and what we can see.
Like Brahms in The Shadow of Beethoven, Sibelius waited a while before daring to present his first symphony to the world. He was 33 when he conducted the first performance, to great acclaim, in April 1899. 4 years later, Henry Wood presented it at the Proms, its first performance in Britain. In the last of the four movements in particular, Sibelius seems to have been haunted by the spirit of his great Russian predecessor, Tchaikovsky. But his own very individual voice is distinctly heard, not least in the magical opening. And here comes Yan Pascal Tortelier to conduct the BBC Philharmonic now in the First Symphony in E minor by Sibelius. That was the First Symphony in E minor by Sibelius, played by the BBC Philharmonic, conducted by Yan Pascal Tortelier. It is Yan Pascal Tortelier once again to take his call on the rostrum with the BBC Philharmonic. And now he comes and shakes hands with the leader, Aura Chiran, of the BBC Philharmonic, after this 26th performance at the Prom since the UK premiere in 1903 of Sibelius's First Symphony. And here's a special handshake for Cicely Holliday, who's been one of the principal second violinists in the orchestra for 34 years. Best wishes to Cicely come from the promenaders as well as from the orchestra. She's retiring after this concert, but her violin will stay with the orchestra, so a little of Cicely will remain behind. Next Wednesday, here at the Royal Albert Hall, we venture into the world of operetta, of romantic waltzes, lively polkas and stirring marches, as we revive the old prom tradition of a Viennese evening. And 2 nights after that, I'll be introducing a programme which has been specially designed as a tribute to the founder of the proms, Henry Wood. That's live on BBC Two on Friday the 19th of August. For now, from the Royal Albert Hall, where they're still applauding the BBC Philharmonic and Yan Pascal Tortelier, I'll bid you good night.